that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
I don't got notes again. I just don't have much to add here. Today we have Vathek by William Beckford, which was a different kind of Gothic tale. It took place in the Middle East, so we have some most likely stereotypes of a lot of things, but we do a Vathek, and this was way more enjoyable than the Old English Baron. I'll tell you that. The story of this is quite meandering. It can be kind of all over the place, but it's very enjoyable to read, though. I just don't have much to add to it. If you're worried about racism, I'm sorry to tell you, there are some. I don't have the exact quote, but there is part in this where there is an ebony, dark-colored skin person talking to to Vathek, and he, like, in his head describes him as a monster, so that's something. But with this, and this is crazy, because this is like 1786. We are finally after the American Civil War. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I kept counting down that. I just thought it was crazy that I was reading something prior to that. And I still got to read Don Quixote someday. So, and that's in the 1600s. In this story, and we'll get a lot of similar themes moving out throughout these books as we go through the Gothic literature, of this sort of idea of making deals with the devil, per se, or dark entities, and the consequences that come of that. Vathek wants to be, a very powerful man, and so doing sells his soul, in a sense, does a lot of evil deeds for the sake of said power. For instance, one big thing in this book happens pretty early on is when he is persuaded to basically kill 50 children, 50, in order to accomplish, to obtain more knowledge, not even necessarily more power. And he will continue to do this. And the road to hell was not paved with good intentions, at least not way back when. And so, as I said, there's also, his mom has like these, like, I'm not going to say the word, but she has a bunch of like black woman servants, and you can read the book. I'm not repeating that. So that's a little annoying to keep seeing pop up. But by and large, this story has like portals and different like sort of dimensions, kind of. It's a whole lot. And it was really crazy to read about like portals and other realities in this early time frame. I do know, if you are a space opera science fiction aficionado, that one person who was heavily inspired by Vathek's work, or by William Beckford's book, was Clark Ashton Smith, who's a famous author of the sort of pulps time. I think he was friends with Lovecraft and Howard and all those people. Or I think he was definitely at least writing back and forth with Lovecraft. But so was Howard, so they had their little writer's circle. But Vathek, I can't say I enjoyed it all the way through. I think it's definitely meandering and kind of, I don't know, just kind of random and bizarre at times, and not very coherent. But still, it was definitely a lot more entertaining than the Old English Baron, I'll tell you that. I enjoyed it a lot more than that one. But it still is not something I'd particularly go back to read. Again, this is still an instance where I'd probably say if you really truly want that history of Gothic, of the Gothic, then perhaps go and read this, especially since it's a different flavor from most of the Gothic literature you'll be reading. I mean, it's a different sort of setting. The only thing that kind of um, relates it back is this sort of thematic themes of selling your soul out for sake of power or influence, and then getting your comeuppance at the end of the story. So, in that front, that stuff was cool when it was there, but it was already really long. I mean, it's not a long thing, but this didn't need to be as long as it was. It could have been even shorter, honestly. And I'm so glad that he planned on William planned on writing like a bunch of more stories about these like people you meet in the last couple pages, and I'm glad that wasn't put in the book because it would be horrendously long otherwise and completely detract from the main plot, which the main plot already dither dathers in of itself. So I would have hated that. Um, and yeah, William Beckford also is not the sweetest soul. There are reports way back when, but again, all these people are long dead, of maybe touching young boys, which, yeah, that's pretty bad. But then again, like I said, it's been hundreds of years since that man has been dead, so it doesn't really matter anymore. I don't know. And like I said, the story was nothing phenomenal. Again, when I read a story that I really think is worthy, I will give it the praise. Again, I appreciate aspects of this story, and I appreciate how it might have advanced the Gothic world into what it has become, even in the Victorian era times with Dracula and all of those things, and whatever's coming out now, and so on and so forth. But appreciating work for historical value and appreciating it as its own, like I said, I did enjoy it to an extent. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than the Old English Baron, and I might have even enjoyed it more than the Castle of Otranto. But I still wouldn't recommend this to someone who's like, oh, you want to get into Gothic literature? Start here. No. Like, if you wanted to know the history, I would recommend it. Otherwise, there are better Gothic books to read. But that's my short and sweet of it. Up next is probably going to cover most of the month because it's absurdly long, and I'm a little worried about that. We have Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, which I think Jane Austen was a big fan of. So, and I know Jane Austen's a big classic literature name, so I look forward to seeing some of her influences coming up. But until then, guys, yeah, maybe if some spiritual being tells you to kill 50 innocent children, maybe don't. Maybe don't. Until next time.